The Windsor Spitfires are back in first place in the OHL's Western Conference after earning 3 of a possible 6 points in 3 games this weekend. On Thursday, Windsor held a 3-1 lead over the Oshawa Generals going into the third period before Philip Tomasina and the Gens popped 5 goals past Xavier Medina in the final frame to defeat Windsor 6-3, which snapped their 5-game winning streak. On Saturday, the Spits traveled to Flint, Michigan to battle the Firebirds. Windsor trailed 3-1 in the second before Jean-Luc Foudy scored a shorthanded goal on a breakaway to make the score 3-2 after 2 periods of play. Spitfires defenseman Connor Corcoran then scored at 7:49 of the third period to tie the game at 3 apiece and send it into overtime. Windsor was gifted a power play in the extra frame but could not convert before Flint captain Ty Delandria beat 3 Spitfire defenders before slipping the puck past Kerry P. Roynan for a highlight reel shorthanded overtime winning goal. Windsor would have little time to reflect on their loss as they battled the Kitchener Rangers the next afternoon, and boy, did the Spitfires come out of the gate flying. In the first period, rookie forward Wyatt Johnston put Windsor on the board first with his 5th goal of the year. Shortly afterwards, Will Cooley would add to Windsor's lead with his 15th goal of the season and 41st as a Spitfire. After Kitchener cut the lead in half, Tyler Engel's 21st goal of the season put the Spits on top by 2. But in the third period, Kitchener would come back and take a 4-3 lead and would force Windsor to have to press for the equalizer. Thankfully for the long stick of Curtis Douglas, he poked the puck loose and pushed it past Jacob Ingham to send this game into overtime tied at 4-4. Once again, Windsor was given a power play in overtime, but they would make no mistakes this time around. With under a minute to play, Tyler Engel fed Igor Afanasiev for a one-timer, and he blasted his 18th goal of the year into the back of the net to give Windsor a 5-4 victory. Theo Johnson, the highly sought-after NCAA football recruit who chose Penn State University. Talk to us about the process of going through those 4 schools and ultimately going to Penn State. Obviously, that's a very, very difficult decision.
Yeah, I listed all my 4 finalists from 1 to 4 for each of the 10.
Yep.
And when I looked at the list, there's a lot of Penn State in the number 1 column or number 2 for a lot of them. And, you know, visually seeing that, it was kind of like, this is pretty much the best decision for me. Like, I might have strong feelings towards other schools, but this is the smartest and best decision based on what I wanted to see in a school. So I feel like that was kind of the tipping point for me, is just visually seeing that and seeing that Penn State was the best decision for me.
And of course, you spoke about your relationship with the head coach and James Franklin, head coach at Penn State, and you said that he was heavily involved in your recruiting process, which isn't typical for a lot of other schools. How much of that was a factor, you think?
I think it was a big factor, just because I'm gonna know my head coach personally, and I'm gonna know him on a personal level. So that was big for me.
It's common for first-year guys to be redshirted. Are you kind of preparing that for your mind, or you want to try and make the roster right away?
I'm kind of going in with the mindset that I'm gonna compete to play right away, and if I go in there and it turns out there's a lot more learning that I thought I needed, or I'm kind of a little bit farther back than I needed, and I end up being redshirted, then you know, that's going to be not a problem for me. I'm just kind of going in. I really want to learn. There's a lot I feel that I need to develop in, and that's kind of what I'm really excited about, is that I have so much more development and work to do. I haven't come close to playing my best football yet. So I feel like once I get to a university program and they really put me through their strength program, their meal plans and stuff like that, I think it's going to be pretty special.
This week's TSS Spotlight is shining on LaSalle native and Seattle Seahawks tight end Luke Willson, who took part in the NFL's divisional round of the playoffs this past weekend. Despite a fantastic second-half effort, the Seattle Seahawks fell to the Green Bay Packers 28-23 in the NFL's divisional round of the playoffs. But it's another great season in the NFL for our own Luke Willson. So congratulations, Luke, on your TSS Spotlight, and here's to another fantastic year in the NFL.